Well, pay Jason for me.
Either he wants to say something or eat something, one of the two.
Take the opportunity to put our musical interest.
Acting, dancing, and now singing a Grammy winner.
For those movies, and particularly Night Shift, and you did Gung Ho.
Really? Never knew that.
Okay, welcome to Just Talking. We have a great show today. We are here at Bradford High School, and we're going to see some great improvements down here. And we're again with Pat Fenimore. Pat, thank you so much for showing us here at Bradford High School. So let's hear it. What are we standing in here?
So we're in the new main entrance, door 1 at Bradford on the west side of the school, and the west entrance has been the main entrance for a number of years, but previously it was just a small vestibule. Students would enter into the school, and then they were basically required to walk to an attendance office to check in or visitors. Same with visitors. There was nothing forcing that activity to take place. Now we have what's called a controlled entrance. You can come into the space we're in here. This is just a temperature vestibule. You can get through that next set of doors. Once you get in there, you have to check in with the attendance office before you're actually going to get into the building. So it's what we've done in any of our newer buildings, and we certainly wanted to add it to Bradford as we did this energy project here.
For this energy project, we're just finished up year 2. Was Bradford done anything on year 1?
So this is year 1 at Bradford. This is year 1. So year 1 here at Bradford, new central heating and cooling plant. We'll get a chance to take a look at those today, which served the entire school. Previously, Bradford had 3 different boiler rooms that served different parts of the building. They've all been tied into one. They also had 2 different chiller plants. They've been tied into one as well. Then in addition to that, new ceiling lighting, new windows, and then these vestibule entrances that, one of them which we're in here, and then the other will be the staff entrance on the east side of the building.
And some exterior painting done as well?
Yeah, we took the color scheme, that's part of the non-energy side of the project, but it used to be a brown metal panel system. Now we've went to kind of a grayish silver to complement the stadium that we built a few years ago here.
So now what area of Bradford are we at here now?
Okay, we're in the Commons, and so we're actually standing on a floor that used to be a sunken floor, and I think a lot of people who've been to Bradford remember that, that area. We've raised that floor up, made the Commons all one common floor, which has really enlarged the space quite a bit. The windows that separate the Commons to the courtyard have all been replaced as well. And then we've also added windows between the cafeteria and the Commons. And so it's kind of made this one large space from a student management perspective, and also from a use perspective as well. So we see this Commons getting used a lot more, similar to the Commons at Tremper and at Indian Trail, which get used for so many things. We see that same thing happening here as well. We're in the Bradford main boiler room, and as I mentioned earlier, Bradford used to have 3 different boiler rooms, and so in addition to not being the easiest to maintain, having 3 different spaces in the building, they were also way oversized, and and that was done because there was an original building, and then there were additions built both to the north and south end of the school back in 1979. Now we've consolidated all of the heating plant into this one location. We're actually serving the building with about half the heating capacity that there once was in the building, and we'll still be able to keep the building plenty warm. So 4 small boilers replacing what used to be about a half a dozen larger boilers. So
probably obviously the same contractor or like the same equipment that was at Tremper?
So the boilers are the same manufacturer. The chillers that we're going to take a look at are also the same manufacturer. So yeah, we like that consistency because then we know what we're doing from a maintenance perspective on that equipment.
Okay, Pat, we are now in the outside area, and let's see what we have to talk about here.
So directly behind us is the emergency electrical generator and then the 2 main chillers that serve the building. And again, this building had 2 different chiller plants before, one that served the north addition, the kind of the central section of the building, and then one that served the south side of the building. Now we have the 2 chillers that serve the entire building. And that includes the north end of the school, the field house and pool and locker rooms, which used to not be air conditioned. And so now the entire school is cooled from this one chiller plant. And then the emergency generator is basically the backup power in case of a power loss. And that's going to take care of lighting, some minimal heating so that the building doesn't freeze. And then all of your computer type systems, things like that. So this chiller plant is kind of the, one of the single largest investments in the project.
And that was done over this summer or last?
It was. The chillers and the boilers were both installed this summer.
All right, Pat, what do we got in this area?
Okay, this is the staff entrance on the east side of the building. This was the other addition we did here at Bradford. This set of doors, this used to be the only set of doors you had to walk through to come into building. So when you came in from the outside, you opened the door and you were in the building. There was no vestibule. Vestibules are very important from an energy conservation perspective. They allow us to, on a hot day, to cool things off out there before letting that rush of hot air come into the building, or on a cold day, vice versa. Opening a door and having a cold rush of air coming into a warm building. And so we wanted to add that vestibule where at this primary staff entrance. In addition, out there we made the ramp that leads to this entrance ADA, handicap accessible. There used to be a ramp before, but it was far too steep for ADAs, so just kind of cleaning that up as well. So again, one of the other pieces that we did here this summer.
And important because, like you said, a lot of energy conservation going on. It starts from, right when they enter the building.
Oh, it's significant. I mean, this addition will pay for itself in probably about 3 years. Wow. Yeah.
Okay, thanks again, Pat, for showing us around these great improvements here at Bradford High School. So what's next? What's that for the school?
So we really have 2.5 years left here. So we've actually made this kind of a 3.5-year project, where Tremper was a 3-year project. This next year, and which will be 2020 and 2021, we'll be doing all of the classroom areas. And so we've kind of split them up evenly, and they'll be complete. New heating, cooling in those spaces, new lighting and ceilings, and then also some other miscellaneous improvements in each of those areas. Then, like I say, there's like a half year at the end. That last summer, which will be the summer of 2022, we're going to do work in the auditorium and auditorium lobby. And so, we've got 3 more summers here at Bradford, and looking forward to the changes that will take place.
Absolutely terrific. Once again, Pat, just great improvements here at Bradford High School, and thanks so much for showing us around today.
You bet. Thanks, Jason.
Welcome back, and in the studio tonight we got a great guest, our superintendent of Kenosha Unified School District, the one and only Dr. Sue Savago.
Thank you. Always good to be here, Jason.
Oh, thanks so much.
Thank you for having me again.
Oh, thank you so much.
You.
I know school started, it's rolling right along, but before we get into that, let's start off with for those who don't know about a superintendent of schools, what is the role and responsibility of a superintendent?
The superintendent is basically the individual who manages the whole district, and currently in Kenosha Unified we have approximately 20,000 students and 3,600 employees. And so my job is to make sure that they have what they need, when they need it, where they need it. I overlook several areas of the school regarding human resources, the budgeting, the communication experiences, teaching and learning, and school leadership, which is our 41 schools that we have. So my job is just to make sure everything is flowing really well. And when folks or staff need things, my job is also to hear what is it that we need to make sure that we're on target and on pace, and to really manage the district not only financially but educationally. And that's the biggest passion I've talked about before, that educationally we're very, very sound, and we're moving our children in the right direction.
Well, I was been toward the high schools, the improvements over there, just really, really great. See, and I believe it was under like an energy grant or dealing with that. Maybe you can expand on that, or any other new improvements in the district?
Yeah, great question. 3 of our schools have really gone under some of those improvements, and let me just start with actually Bradford. So if you haven't traveled past Bradford, I would encourage everybody to do so. You'll notice there are several entrances. The first one is the main entrance. Due to the security funds and energy efficient funds, we're able to do some grand entrances where there's a vestibule. So before you come in, you're kind of being monitored and checked before you get into the main hub of the building. And that's one of the things that some of our older schools didn't have. So if you were to walk in as a visitor, you would enter in and be into the building, and that is a security safety issue there. So very, very robust now entrance to get into the building, security's there, checkpoint, things like that. Also inside of Bradford, I don't know if you've ever been inside, but the Commons area used to have like a 3-step tier approach to go down in. Well, over the course of years, we've had injuries and things like that, so there's been some talk of leveling that. So now it's one big, nice common space for the students, and then they did some remodeling where they've opened up a little bit in that cafeteria. Again, more for visibility, which is part of that security plan, to be able to see students, hear, listen, and be available. At Bradford as well, on the back side, there used to be an area where the staff would enter, and again, that's taken a more safety precaution piece, kind of ADA accommodation going up into the school as well, where ramps, so individuals that need that type of access have a better access to the building as well. So great things. The pool, those that are past swimmers, the pool's, if you've been in that pool, the pool's finally had its upgrade, and I haven't seen it yet, but everybody's telling me water's cold still, but everybody's swimming well and working through it, but that was a beautiful upgrade. Tremper, they did finish some of their security entrances, so if you've been through Tremper as well, you'll see the same type of security vestibule up front where people have to go through. They've actually done some nice remodeling in their area of that career and tech. Those old automotive shops, if you will, they really revamped those so we can be more up to speed with the manufacturing courses that are starting to take on in the schools. And they did some other nice remodeling, and they have their pool, I think, is next year, so there's a little bit of rivalry going on. They'll get their pool down. Everybody's excited about that. And then Ruther was the other one that they revamped a little bit. On top of Ruther was the like a greenhouse. So they spent some time remodeling that greenhouse, if you will, to make it more efficient. Harborside is the exponential learning school for Kenosha Unified, and they use that a lot, meaning the students use that a lot for a lot of their projects, so they were very excited to do that. New windows at Ruther and some other areas to just do some upgrades. So yeah, very busy, and thank you to our facilities and Patrick Fenimore, who I think you've spoken to for years.
Yeah,
I don't know how they do it, but they surely accomplish a lot in a short period of time to make the schools look beautiful.
Yeah, I think the big improvement that people were talking about was the AC as well.
And AC, I guess I'm getting used to it now.
I don't know
but
exactly.
Yes, AC at the high schools is what everybody's just very, very happy about, even the staff. And sometimes you walk through there, it's too cold. You're like, no, don't say that. But the students were very appreciative that they finally got AC.
Oh, yeah. Excellent, excellent. I know you also have a background in health and fitness, and you kind of want to see the curriculum as well. Is anything we can expand on that in the school systems?
I think in general that's going well. We haven't had any with the health piece in terms of. I always am an advocate for our student lunches. You know, I know that our country has been making a focus on that, to have healthier student lunches for students, and always to watch our sugar and things like that. So we try to encourage that. And I'm very proud of me being a past gym teacher, physical education teacher in my past, just very, very proud of our staff that teaches physical education. When I go to observe, I'm seeing the kids moving and having fun and really enjoying all that they can engage them with. So, yeah.
You're also very, I always see you at the Readers or Leaders program at the United Way, which they celebrate, I think, Dr. Seuss's day. And but why do you feel that reading is so important to children?
Oh my gosh, reading is like the cornerstone for everybody to be successful. You know, we know that if students are not able to read by 3rd grade, and we've heard that over and over, but it is true, that the gap then definitely increases in their learning. So it's very, very important. I'm a big advocate of when our young pregnant mothers are pregnant and when they have their babies, that we encourage that reading, that we start developmentally getting books in front of children and just increasing their vocabulary so that they have that receptive language as well as expressive language. And once children at a young age are able to read and understand and start comprehending, the doors just open for them. It's just a skill set. So the earlier we can read and the more we can read to them, the more important it is. As well as I do believe children should be reading every night at home, depending on grade level. even 5 minutes up to 15, up to 20, and 30, up in sometimes up in the upper grade levels that they should be reading every night. I mean, it's just that piece that so much we do today is you have to read and you have to make sense of everything socially, politically, and you have to have that skill set in order to how to decipher through that what's true, what's false, what's okay, I got it, and what can I infer from this. And so it's just a skill now that, I mean, it always has been, but in order to be successful, our students need to be reading by third grade.
Yeah, right. And I think, partially in this day and age with these the cell phones and texting and stuff, even also writing, reading complete sentences or paragraphs or all that comes into play, and you got to start early and with the reading aspect. About any, I think maybe we touched on last time, but any after-school programs that the parents should be aware of that goes on at the
I think, as a parent myself, my daughter now is a freshman at Tremper High School.
Wow,
Yay,
congratulations.
yay.
Hey, on the right
Yeah,
path.
she's on the right path. As a parent, I think like you just mentioned with the social media, it's just, some of us older parents, I won't say we're old, but older, you have to keep up with a little bit because so much of the information that schools sent out is via online, is via a website, is via some other means of communication versus sometimes the old days where it would come home in a backpack and, oh, look, I got this, and you put it on your calendar. Now it's very, very fast. I'm just seeing things that you just have to be, they've had the Google Docs, they have Google Classrooms, they have Gmail. You have to have your Gmail and your email, and you have to just keep track of that. So I would just encourage parents, if you don't have those means, really to reach out to the school, because I found even myself, I had to reach, when is homecoming? When is, when is this a little bit? And they're more than happy to direct you to the site or share information with you. But there are, as we talked about, there are sports events happening right now all the time, basically Tuesday through Friday nights. Soon we'll have the conference, parent-teacher conferences coming up in October. So those are key ones that get communicated out. And of course, all of our music activities will start to occur November, December towards those kind of winter concerts. So PTSA, PTOs, they're ongoing monthly meetings. They're happening all the time. Again, I think it's engaging in your school site and just finding out where can I find out what's happening in the school as a parent, and then setting it and making it a priority to attend.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, there's a lot.
And kind of like before, public can attend concerts and athletic events?
Public can, we encourage the public to attend. I think that's what makes Kenosha so great. Our community is just, when I think of the Bradford Tremper games or the Indian Trail Bradford games or the Indian Trail Tremper games, and you see so many people come out that may or may not have a child at the game, but they're in attendance just because they went to school there. I think that's the really unique thing that makes Kenosha very special. They have those connections, and I think they still come out just for the fun of it, just to go and celebrate.
I agree, because again, if they go into this, especially now with the high school's improvement, or if they've never been to the Bradford Stadium that was never there before, they can say, hey, this, there's been a lot of improvements and expansion here at the.
I think it was 2 weeks ago, Tremper hosted one of the football groups that they won state or something like that, and so I was at that game. And that was my class or the class ahead of me. But anyway, it was interesting. They had 12 or 15 of the older football players come back to kind of get a little recognized at the football game at halftime. And some are from Kenosha and some aren't from Kenosha. So to hear them come back and talk about, when you think about Amici Field, what it was back 30, 40 years ago to where it is today, they were just like, wow, this is really neat. And that is, again, because of supportive community through our referendums and taxpayers recognizing that we care about our facilities and we want to make sure that they're well taken care of and are remodeled. So that was a neat one.
Absolutely. Okay, we're just winding up. Is there any other areas that you want to talk about or that come to mind?
We had some cool highlights. I think right now our Wisconsin Ford exam just released some information. Out of the 5 big urban school districts, I'd like to just celebrate that Kenosha in the area of English language arts, which is the reading and writing component. We are number 1. Our other colleagues are Racine, Madison, Green Bay, and Milwaukee. So Kenosha is number 1. That's the big 5. We kind of compare ourselves to them a little bit just because of demographics. And then in the area of math, our 2 grade levels that are number 1 are in 6th and 8th grade. So that's a positive. Madison is second below us. So we're really excelling academically, and like I had shared earlier, that is my passion, my focus for our instruction. And lastly, Lakeview. I don't know if you guys heard Lakeview Tech Academy.
Sure.
They just were recognized as a National Blue Ribbon School, and in November they'll be heading out to Washington, D.C. for their recognition, getting recognized in terms of that recognition. So. And I mean, so many things have been happening through all of our schools. Frank Elementary School just received an exponential learning certification, and that's years in the making for them. They were recognized by the Exponential Learning National Recognition Group, so they also are going to be recognized. So we have just truly tremendous staff working very, very hard for student growth, and that's what it's all about.
All right. Well, and on that note, may I say the KOST is just doing an excellent job in the community. We definitely got a great superintendent. Let's give a round of applause to our superintendent of KOST, Dr. Susavaglo Jarvis.
Thank you. And thank you for having me back, Jason. My pleasure. Always thank you.
Thank you. All right. And we'll be right back.
As a parent, I know one of the most important times to be with your children is when they aren't feeling well. For many families, there's a place they can go to find the support they need.
Ronald McDonald House Charities programs provide that supportive environment so families can be together while their children are dealing with serious illnesses.
You can volunteer your time at a local Ronald McDonald House or drop your change in an RMHC canister.
Today is a great day for all of us to show our support.
To find out how you can get involved in your community, visit rmhc.org.
All right, welcome back. And now here we are at Tremper High School, and we're here again with Pat Fenimore. Pat, thanks again for showing us around. Again, great changes here at the Tremper High School. Let's hear what we're in now.
So right now we're in the what I'd say would be the special education section of the school. This room that you're in right now, this used to be the what people remember as home ec room, family and consumer education. That was all gutted out, relocated to the south end of the building, and then this room was absorbed into the special education portion of the building. One of the things we wanted to do, or what the school wanted to do, was tie all of their rooms together so that students have the ability to go from one space to another without going out into the hallway. And so the changes in this room would be the removal of all of the home ec equipment, and then new ceiling lighting, air conditioning, flooring, etc.
So more accessible for everybody.
Definitely, and also kind of improved the restroom facilities for the special needs students as well.
Yeah, I can definitely feel the AC.
It's a little chilly today, and that's maybe by design, but well, eventually it'll be a little bit warmer than this. But we're probably right around 71 degrees right now.
Now, Pat, what room are we in here?
We're in the auto shop, so this was kind of a complete gut job as far as a 1963 constructed space that had really never been remodeled since then. And so, again, added air conditioning to the shop area, new ceiling and lighting, refinished the floors. They're concrete floor. We put an epoxy seal to them. And then we kind of opened up the classroom portion to the shop portion with a window, a person door, and then eventually where the garage door opening in is, there'll be a glass garage door there as well, so that they can separate the spaces but still see, the teacher can still see from one space to the other.
So before this project, did they give a list of things that should be done in these areas? Or?
Basically a list of things that they're hoping to have happen, and then we try to make as many of those things happen as possible. Right, yep. Right.
Well, this definitely is an area, and for people that don't know, that Tremper does have an automotive class.
It's very popular class, very popular class.
Okay, Pat, where are we at now?
Okay, we're just outside the culinary classroom, and this is a new space for Tremper. The only school that we had a culinary space previously was Indian Trail, which we had built when we built the expanded high school there. This space that we've used here used to be a tech ed space, and it was gutted completely and then converted into a culinary classroom, which has a commercial kitchen, and then also more of what I would call a residential area of kitchen space, which is where the teacher does kind of her teaching from and shows the kids what they're going to do in the class. But the whole goal with these types of spaces are to create a space where kids can learn how to do those types of things that you might do if you would get a job in a restaurant or that type of business.
That's great. You know, getting the training early and how things are done. Plus, you have the space and the equipment to do it.
Right, and the equipment. So the types of equipment we have in here are the types of things that they would run into if they worked in a commercial kitchen, you know, whether it would be a restaurant or some other type of food preparation business. Great. So.
Okay, Pat, just really neat improvements going on, and let's hear what the room we're in today.
Okay, we're in the family and consumer room, which, you know, again, when I went to high school, this was generally called home economics, home ec. So family and consumer is more of the residential type of cooking class, and this space is as well as that culinary room that we were just in was a former tech education space, was gutted and converted it into this home ec space. So we've got new ceiling, flooring, lighting, added cooling, and then new casework, and then our career to tech education department is buying new equipment as well for the room that you know goes along with the new space. And so they basically have these peninsulas that have ovens, microwaves, sinks, and then workspaces, and the students learn how to cook. So.
And you moved it in an area where they're both together, the window.
They are. One's upstairs from the other. That way we could combine the storage of the food. So we've got, you know, some common dry goods storage, some common freezer storage, and then also delivery of that stuff all can come on one end of the building as well.
I believe you said this was a 3-year project, so then we're on or finished year 2 and we've got year 3. What's in store for year 3?
So year 3 is probably the you know, probably more of the public areas, which would be the auditorium and the gymnasium and the pool. And so those are the 3 major areas that we'll do, with the bulk of the work being done in the auditorium. The Tremper Auditorium, like a lot of the other spaces, constructed in 1963, opened in 1964, and really has seen very little as far as renovation since that time. We will be pretty much gutting the auditorium, new flooring, new ceiling, making it properly ADA accessible, new sound attenuation and sound, just overall sound management. All the acoustical design will be redone as well as part of that project. So that'll be the biggest area, but then also some things in the original gym as well, the pool as well. So we'll make those spaces look and feel a lot more comfortable. And when you think about the gym and the pool, they've never been air conditioned before, and so those spaces will have cooling for the first time.
Yeah, so not only the students see a difference, but the staff as well, because they're there day in and day out.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think the thing we probably hear most from the staff would just be the cooling side. This was a school that had never been air conditioned, in its first almost 60 years. And so last year when we did that one portion of the building, it was definitely the haves and have-nots who had cooling and who didn't. Now almost all of the school is cooled.
Well, good. Well, again, congratulations on such a great job on this year 2, and just it's really great improvements to the public schools. And Pat, thanks so much for talking with us and showing us around.
You bet, Jason.